I have a friend who over the last couple of years has been going through a pretty rough stretch of her life. For many years, she had been a single mother, raising her 3 young children, but now her children have moved out of the house and are on their own. And while they do still see each other a lot, and while kids always need their mother, for her it was just a little bit different. She wrote to me last year that she was going through some struggle finding meaning, finding purpose in her life. I would imagine that most of us in this church over the age of 10 can probably identify with that and have felt that way at some time. Well, last week she wrote me again, and things sounded a whole lot different. A friend had invited her to do some volunteer work at a local women's shelter in her hometown, and she's been doing that now for 3 months. She wrote this: "Every day I thank God for providing me with this opportunity to walk with these women, just to talk to them, laugh with them, cry with them. I don't know if I do any good for them, I hope I do, but I know that I leave refreshed after each and every visit." In today's first reading, the Israelites are also going through a rough time. It was just a short time since they entered the desert, and they weren't at all sure that God was with them. They began to gripe up a storm to Moses. "Why did you make us leave Egypt? Are you going to let us die out here of thirst? Our children will die, our cattle will die. We should have been staying in Egypt. We would have been better off staying as slaves." These people were worn out. They were tired, they were afraid, and they turned to Moses for help. And Moses, being Moses, he does the only thing he knows to do. He turns to God for help. And God tells him what to do. "Take the people out to the rock on Mount Horeb, stand in front of them, strike the rock with your staff, and you'll get water." In our gospel reading today, we have a woman who's living in shame. We know that because she doesn't go to the well in the morning when it's still cool out. She goes in the heat of the day. She goes then so she can be alone. And it's here at the well that she encounters God in the person of Jesus. All 3 of those stories are encounters with God. The woman who worked in the woman's shelter, the Israelites, encounter God at the rock at Horeb, and the woman in our gospel encounters Jesus at the well. These Lenten readings invite us to ask ourselves the question, where do I find God? Or even perhaps a better question, where do I let God find me? Because here's the key to all 3 of those stories. The first one, the woman went to the shelter and she found refreshment, not in a way that she could ever imagine, but she found it. Moses and the Israelites went to the rock at Mount Horeb. They struck the rock and they got life-giving water. You don't ever get water from a rock, do you? But the Israelites went to the rock and they were nourished. The woman at the well went to the well, and there she found nourishment, not from the water she went there for, but from the one who provides life-giving waters. My friends, here's the point. If you need to be nourished, if you need consolation, if you find yourself sometimes your life being more than you can seem to handle, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? A few weeks ago, our stewardship committee examined our stewardship of time. We presented each of you who were here that weekend and the subsequent weekends 90 ways to grow your faith. We passed out over 400 of those sheets. We got about 90 back. I say that just as an observation, because if you need to be nourished, if you need consolation, if you find life sometimes to be more than you think you can handle, what are you doing about it? In each of these stories I told throughout this homily, each one contained 3 similar elements. The person in the story did their part. They went. God did his part. He found them there. And each of them found that which nourished them. And so if you're out there and you're struggling a little bit, if you're out there and you're searching for something, if you're out there and you just can't seem to pull it all together, what are you doing to change that? In other words, where do you go to meet God for life-giving waters? Where do you go to meet God for life-giving waters. If you're simply sitting there waiting for it to happen, you might be waiting for a long time, because God works for us and God works with us, but we have to do our part. And the good news is you don't have to travel far. You don't have to go all the way across the country to find the well. My friend found one in her own hometown. Moses and the Israelites found one on a nearby mountain. But it may require going somewhere, maybe to a park, maybe to a shelter, maybe to a soup kitchen, to daily mass, to the gym, to a special room in your house, to a volunteer opportunity, to the Adoration Chapel, to a small group, and I could go on and on and on. I don't know where it is for each of you, but I do believe that each of us can find that place. And when we do, we will meet God there. And when we meet God, we will be nourished.